The UFC tells its jiu-jitsu specialists they can earn up to $155,000 a year. But what they don't tell you is that the very contract they sign could become a golden prison, locking them out of the high-paying grappling world and leaving them with just a fraction of that promised payday. We dug into the numbers, and what we found reveals the controversial truth behind the hype. We're about to break down the risky pay structure and reveal the contractual traps that could leave these elite grapplers earning far less, all while being barred from competing anywhere else. This is the truth about how much UFC BJJ athletes really earn. For decades, the life of a professional grappler has been a story of passion over profit. You train for years, you hit black belt, you win world championships, and your prize is often little more than a medal and some bragging rights. The real money in jiu-jitsu was never in the winning. It's in everything you do outside of competition. Selling digital instructionals, flying across the globe every weekend to teach, and opening your own academy, that has always been the business of BJJ. Then the UFC stomps onto the scene. Using its massive Fight Pass platform and promotional machine, it launched the UFC BJJ, a premier submission grappling that has now morphed into a full-fledged league signing athletes to exclusive deals. The sales pitch, as sold by the promotion, is simple. We're going to professionalize the sport. We'll give you a platform, consistent events, and a steady income. Claudia Gadelha, the face of UFC BJJ, stated that exclusive athletes who compete 4 times a year could earn between $97,000 and $155,000. She framed it as a turning point, arguing that for too long, BJJ athletes have kept their own sport amateur by accepting medals instead of demanding real money. On the surface, it's a powerful message. Who wouldn't want to see these world-class athletes finally get paid? The UFC, with its billion-dollar empire, certainly has the cash to make it happen. They are dangling a life-changing opportunity, a chance to just focus on training and competing, free from the constant hustle. But as with anything that seems too good to be true, the devil is in the details. And the details of a UFC contract are notoriously devilish. To see how that 6-figure promise can vanish into thin air, let's invent an athlete. We'll call him Leo. Leo is a phenomenal grappler, a multiple-time world champion, and he's just been offered an exclusive contract with UFC BJJ. He's promised a shot at that sweet $155,000 payday. He signs on the dotted line. The first thing to understand is that the UFC BJJ pay structure is not a salary. It's built on performance pay. You get show money for competing, but to get the other half of your paycheck, the win bonus, you have to get a submission. This is a huge distinction from the UFC's MMA model where just winning the match is enough. In UFC BJJ, a win on points doesn't get you the big check. So let's follow Leo through his first year. He's elite, but this is the highest level of the sport. Nobody submits everyone, he competes 4 times. Maybe he wins a couple by submission, but loses 1, and another win is a tough decision on points. It's a very respectable record against the best in the world. But because he didn't get 4 submissions, his gross pay doesn't even come close to the promised $97,000. He's already down by tens of thousands of dollars before he even pays his team. But it gets so much worse. Like UFC fighters, these grapplers are independent contractors. So from his already reduced earnings, Leo has to pay everyone. His manager gets a cut, usually 10-20%. His coaches and gym get their cut, typically around 10%. After paying the team that got him there, he's left with a much smaller number. Then comes the biggest hit: taxes. As an independent contractor, Leo is responsible for his own self-employment tax, which can be a massive chunk, often around 30%. When all is said and done, Leo's take-home pay for a year of world-class competition for a good winning record can plummet from a promise of nearly $100,000 to a reality of less than $40,000. Let that sink in. He did everything right, had a successful year, and still the six-figure dream ended up being a low five-figure reality. This isn't just a hypothetical. This high-risk pay model is the first layer of the trap. The second is far more insidious. The real poison in the UFC BJJ contract isn't just the shaky pay, it's the exclusivity. When an athlete signs an exclusive deal, they are contractually forbidden from competing in any other grappling event. This is where the promise of opportunity becomes a prison. The most prestigious tournament in submission grappling is the ADCC World Championships. It's the Olympics of the sport. Winning ADCC cements a grappler's legacy and skyrockets their value for seminars and instructionals. It is the absolute peak. UFC BJJ has announced that starting in 2027, its exclusively contracted athletes will be barred from competing in ADCC. This is a catastrophic blow to the sport and the athletes. Imagine the NBA telling its stars they couldn't play in the Olympics anymore. It creates a fractured world where the best are no longer fighting the best. This isn't just about legacy, it's about life-changing money. While ADCC's prize money is improving, other independent promotions offer staggering sums. The most notable is the Craig Jones Invitational, or CJI. In its first event, the CJI awarded a massive $1 million to its tournament winner, Nick Rodriguez. These are sums that dwarf even the wildest best-case scenario at UFC BJJ. By signing with the UFC, athletes are locked out of these opportunities. They are trading a lottery ticket for $1 million for the chance to maybe earn less than a mid-level manager. Why would the UFC do this? The answer is in their history. The UFC's business model has always been about creating a monopoly. They don't want a competitive market where athletes have leverage. They want to be the only game in town. As grappling superstar and promoter Craig Jones argues, when a promotion crushes its competition, it has no reason to pay its athletes more. The athlete's power dies one signature at a time. This is straight out of the UFC's MMA playbook. For years, the company has used restrictive contracts to control its fighters. One notorious clause is tolling, where if a fighter is injured or turns down a fight, the UFC can just freeze their contract and extend it, effectively holding them hostage. It's what led UFC star Nate Diaz to publicly claim he was being held hostage by the promotion in 2022. This exact business practice led to a decade-long antitrust lawsuit filed by former fighters like Kung Lei and Nate Quarry. They alleged that the UFC engaged in anti-competitive conduct to suppress fighter pay and eliminate rivals. In 2025, that lawsuit was finally settled, with the UFC agreeing to pay a staggering $375 million to the fighters. This wasn't a nuisance payout, it was a massive settlement that backed up the fighters' claims. The UFC's history is one of market control and pay suppression, and it looks like they're using the same blueprint on the world of jiu-jitsu. Of course, there's another side to the story. Supporters of the UFC BJJ model say it brings a level of professionalism and exposure the sport desperately needs. Mikey Musumeci, a celebrated champion and a face of UFC BJJ, has defended the exclusive model. He asked why the UFC should spend millions building its athletes' brands, only to donate their athletes to help other events, like ADCC. From a purely corporate view, you can see his point. The UFC is making an investment and wants to protect it. Claudia Gadelha argues this is the only way for athletes to build a real career and move beyond relying on seminars. Some athletes even voice support for the stability it seems to offer. But do these arguments actually hold up? Musumeci's defense of the UFC's investment seems to ignore that these athletes show up on the UFC's doorstep as fully formed products. They are already world champions with brands they built themselves. The UFC isn't building them from scratch. It's buying established assets and then kneecapping their ability to earn outside of its own playground. The stability argument also falls apart when you run the numbers. As our Leo case study showed, the income is anything but stable. It's a high-stakes gamble every single match. Craig Jones offered the most blunt rebuttal. When some well-known grapplers signed with the UFC, choosing its perceived stability over his own event, Jones said, "I do, however, object to signing these deals as good for the sport. It's good for your bank account." He gets that individuals need to make a living, but he separates that from the damage these contracts do to the whole sport by feeding a monopoly. It's a selfish move, he argues, because it weakens the negotiating power for the next generation of athletes. So at this point, you have to ask yourself, is this a fair trade? Is the massive exposure of the UFC brand worth the risk of a drastically lower income and being locked out of the most important events in your sport? Let us know what you think down in the comments. So if the UFC's promise is a potential trap, where is the real money in jiu-jitsu? It's exactly where it was before the UFC showed up, in building an independent brand. The most successful grapplers in the world aren't just athletes, they're media companies. Take Gordon Ryan, widely seen as the greatest no-gi grappler ever. While his competition earnings are significant, they're a drop in the bucket compared to his other income. His sales of instructional videos are estimated to be in the millions of dollars annually. Combined with sponsorships and other ventures, his income is easily in the seven-figure range. Craig Jones is another perfect example. After building a huge following with his skill and sharp wit, he now runs his own multi-million-dollar tournament. He understood that real power comes from being a free agent and controlling your own destiny. This is the exact path a UFC BJJ contract closes off. An athlete's ability to film and sell their own instructionals, a primary source of income, could be threatened by the UFC's infamously restrictive ancillary rights clauses. This is a classic UFC move. UFC Hall of Famer Randy Couture has spoken out about how the promotion originally wanted to own his rights in perpetuity, meaning he would have needed their permission for any outside business venture forever. By signing with the UFC, BJJ athletes are handing over the keys to their careers. They are betting on the UFC to market them, to pay them, and to have their best interests at heart. But the UFC's history, culminating in a $375 million settlement for engaging in anti-competitive practices, tells a very different story. It's a company that has proven again and again that its primary interest is its own bottom line, not the financial well-being of its athletes. So, what's the final verdict? The headline figure of $155,000 is a marketing tactic, a best-case scenario that requires a perfect submission-only rampage against the best in the world. For most athletes, the reality is a volatile income that, after you pay your team and the taxman, can easily dip below that of a fast food manager. But the real cost isn't just about the money on a single check. The real cost is the loss of freedom. It's the golden handcuffs of an exclusive contract that locks them into one system while more lucrative and prestigious events pass them by. It's being barred from ADCC, the tournament they've dreamed of since they were white belts. It's being unable to compete in a $1 million tournament like the CJI. It's gambling your entire future on a system with a documented decade-long history of suppressing athlete pay. This isn't to say the UFC's involvement is all bad. It brings more eyeballs to the sport and has forced a much-needed conversation about pay. But the model they've chosen is deeply problematic. It's a model built on control, not partnership. The UFC is offering a tempting shortcut to what looks like legitimacy. But for the elite of the grappling world, the ones with the most leverage, it looks less like a shortcut and more like a detour off a road paved with gold. The history of combat sports always favors those who build and control their own brand, not those who blindly trust a promoter's promise. As the BJJ world gets more fractured, the athletes who hold onto their independence will be the ones who truly hold the power. What do you think is the future of pro grappling? Is the UFC's model sustainable, or will independent promotions win out? Drop your final thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this investigation valuable, please like the video and subscribe for more content that holds the powers that be accountable. Thanks for watching.